When I decided that I was going to tell him that I wanted a divorce, we sit down in our session. It's like really tense, really awkward. My ex was sitting there like, so why do we have an emergency session? The therapist was like, Jamie, do you want to start? And I just started crying and I was like, I want a divorce. He sat there quiet. I'm sitting next to him crying. He didn't move. He didn't look at me. He didn't react at all. He just was stone cold. And eventually our therapist was like, would you like to respond? So he responded right away and he's like, fine, let's just go ahead and finalize the details. Like, I knew that I was ready to leave that day, but I couldn't believe that that was his reaction. There was no empathy. There was no compassion. There was no like wanting to fight for us, and I was like, so what are we going to do? And he just kept playing. And he was like, I already got an apartment. I already took my name off of the lease. So it was like within a couple days he moved out.
All right, y'all. So this is class A manipulation. So essentially, this woman, her and her husband, I guess they were going through some marital issues and they were going to therapy, right? They were going to therapy and she contacted her therapist and said, hey, I want to divorce my husband, but I want you to be there and we'll set up a session and he'll come in and I'll essentially ambush him with this and tell him I want a divorce. He gets there and that's where the video picks up. She says she wants a divorce. Now, I want to point something out that she said. She said when she told him that he had no empathy, he was just stone cold. Listen, if he's going to therapy with you, obviously he cares about saving the marriage. So if he's doing what he can and going to therapy to try to fix whatever it is that y'all got going on and you still say you want a divorce, he's probably at the point to where it's like, okay, if therapy isn't working and this was supposed to be the solution, then all right, cool, bet. But what she wanted him to break down. I don't believe she actually wanted a divorce. I believe that she wanted power. She wanted power. And so she wanted to get him in front of another person so that he would either act like a fool and start cussing and yelling at her in front of somebody else so that she could use that in court, or he would start begging for her to stay and she would feel validated. She would feel important. She would feel like she's needed. And that's what she really wanted. She wanted to feel like she was needed. She wanted him to need her. So when he said, all right, let's just finalize the details, she had regret because it backfired and he didn't, quote unquote, fight for their relationship. But let me tell you something. Right? When you are already fighting as hard as you can for something and it's not working, and then someone drops a bomb on you like that and says, okay, I want a divorce. It's like, all right, cool. That lets you know right there that he had done all that he could do and that he was okay with whatever consequence happened. And then get this. Afterwards, she says that they go home. He sleeps on the couch. The next day, she comes home from work or whatever and he's playing PlayStation. He doesn't really acknowledge her. She sits by him and says, so what do you want to do? What are we going to do? Do you want to talk about whatever? She still wants him. She wanted him to think about it. And he goes, I already got my apartment. I already took myself off the lease. Within 24 hours, he's already thinking about moving on. And one of the things that people have to realize, and I'm not going to make this a man and woman because I'm sure that men do this with the women as well in certain ways. But I'm just going to talk from just a personal relationship perspective. All right. When you force somebody to consider their options, I think you're going to get a more realistic picture than you think. For example, a lot of people, they're scared to show up to work late. They're scared to ask for a raise. They're scared to lose their job. But once it becomes clear that they're probably going to get fired or something happens, you would be amazed at how quickly they're able to start looking for other things or moving forward. Once you have it in your mind that, okay, this is the end, this is final, you'd be surprised at how quickly you start taking action on things that before it would have taken months or years, or there was just a mental block. So what she did was she unblocked it. She unlocked his chakra, right? She said divorce. And he said, okay, bet. But I want you to pay attention. I'm going to play this part back for you. Pay attention to this.
I believe that was his reaction. There was no empathy. There was no compassion. There was no like wanting to fight for us, and I was like, so what are we going to do? And he just kept playing. And he was like, I already got an apartment. I already took my name off of the lease. So it was like,
I want you to pay attention to that. He didn't fight for us. And I know I mentioned this a little earlier, but he didn't fight for us. Why do women, and I say, like, why do women want men to fight for them? We had to fight to get you. We have to fight every single day to keep you. We have to fight at our job. We have to fight off not wanting to go sleep with other women. We have to fight off the temptations of blowing up and feeding into our anger. We fight every single day for y'all. But then we're supposed to you've already said what you wanted, right? You said what you wanted. You want a divorce. And listen, we all get emotional sometimes. Maybe we all speak out of pocket and stuff like that. It probably would have been different if she approached it like this. Hey, listen, I'm going through something right now, and it seems like divorce is the only way out. I don't know if that's true. I don't necessarily want a divorce. If we can solve this, I want to stay with you. But here's the problem that I see. That sounds like the conversation that she should have had. But what she did was she threw out the bait, right? She threw out the bait in a pond full of fish to see if they would bite. And she didn't think they would bite. And when they bit, she regretted ever throwing the bait out there. She was throwing the bait out to see if he would bite. And when he did not bite, meaning he didn't blow up, he didn't start crying, he didn't do this and that. When he did not bite, she felt insecure because she was so sure that she had the right bait and she didn't. And you have to be careful. You have to be careful because I don't know if they have kids or whatever, but she just broke up a family, and now she's probably going to be in a situation where she goes on for years sleeping with different men that don't really care about her, that don't actually fight for her, that just get in her pants, and then eventually she's going to end up with a man that probably wasn't as good as the man that she was with. And what we're going to see is her getting online complaining about men one day. In 5 years, she's going to be online complaining about men, if she's not already doing that. She's going to be complaining about men, and she's going to be in her villain arc. And that man, he's probably going to be living the best time of his life, found somebody else that he appreciates you. Because if this is a person that's going to therapy, understand this. Men going to therapy is already kind of demonized and tabooed in society. So if he's going to therapy to fix something so that y'all can be in a relationship and you don't consider that fighting, I don't know what you call it. But let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate y'all. My name is Fitz. See y'all in the next video.